Just lighting a candle for all the really bad books that I read this year that made my soul leave my body. And cheers to all the absolutely amazing ones. I swear this is water. My name is Leonie, welcome back to my channel, and this year so far I've only given one singular book 5 stars. So today I want to talk about all of the books that I read so far in the year 2025, and we'll go through them because I ranked them from worst all the way to the very best one, the singular 5-star. The first lowest category of books is never torture me with this type of stuff ever again. And all the way at the bottom, down below, we have Quicksilver. This is a super romantic fantasy story. If your idea of romance is a 7 feet tall, husky, bulky fae that uses his gravelly voice to constantly degrade you. Actually, no, now I'm making it sound too good. If your idea of romance is this fae knight that tells you that you want him, even though you said no because he can smell it on you, I imagine Quicksilver as a kind of monster, a horror monster, like a Frankenstein or a The Thing, where there's just limbs and eyes sticking out everywhere, because this book was like this weird amalgamation of every romance book you've ever read. The main character is transported to a magical kingdom when she touches a magical sword. There's alchemy. There's even vampires at some point. I did not anticipate the vampires, but there's no overarching vision. This book lacks what the newest Taylor Jenkins Reid book does have: atmosphere. We'll get to that book. Next up in the category, please never torture me with this again, is A Business Engagement. This is also a super romantic harlequin romance. If your idea of romance is a male board chairman that looks down on his first female board member because she's a female. If your idea of romance is a woman getting harassed and then having the love interest coming to save her and tell her that, well, he would of course never do that to her. 90s harlequin romance, where the bar for gentlemanly behavior is so low you could trip on it. I buddy read this book as a joke with friends, and it dared to not even be funny. Do you ever watch like a bad movie just to entertain yourself with how bad it is, and then it turns out to just be boring bad and not funny bad? That's what this book was for me. Boring with a few jump scares of sudden extreme sexism. But before we move on, today I have partnered with Wild, which I am super excited about because they are genuinely my new everyday deodorant. They are my staple every single day. In fact, I'm actually wearing them right now. Wild has a reusable aluminium deodorant applicator, so you can refill your cases again and again, reducing plastic waste. This is their newest limited edition case, the Sunflowers. So cute. And they have a bunch of other beautiful cases that you can choose from. They can be personalized with engravings even. And their scents. I cannot get over how good I smell when I wear their deodorant. And not just because it actually stops you from sweating, but most importantly, I really appreciate Wild's mission. They have saved over 1.6 million pounds of single-use plastic from going into landfills. Their products are completely powered by plants. No aluminum salts or parabens, and they are Leaping Bunny certified. I have completely shifted to using Wild as my daily deodorant, and you can too. Use my code thebookleo to get a 20% discount on your Wild products. The code doesn't last long, so click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to discover more. The next category is I have many opinions and all of them are neutral. This is Count My Lies, a thriller of a lying woman infiltrating a really rich hot couple by pretending to be a nanny. Look, I love a scammer story, I love a fire festival, I love an Anna Delvey. Probably has something to do with me always being a goody two-shoes and therefore kind of loving to live vicariously through characters that do bad stuff. Anyway, I don't know why I enjoy that. There's a web of lies unfolding, schemings being schemed, but looking back, I could summarize this book as just This book truly contributed nothing to my life, either positively or negatively. Also, most of what happened in this book is super implausible. It says count my lies, but it's more like count all the times that the characters justify what is happening by saying, well, this could only ever happen on this island. Could never happen anywhere else, but on this island, that's exactly what people would do. Might as well admit that your story is a little bit far-fetched. Then we have Suki alone. You know what? You can give me anything Avatar The Last Airbender related and I will eat it up. Okay, I did not grow up with that show, watching it so many times that I'm pretty sure I can talk along with many scenes just to not enjoy every single piece of Avatar content that there is out there. This is Suki's story from when she was imprisoned at the Boiling Rock. Was I dead happy reading this? The spirits of nostalgia taking over my body? Yes. Can I also critically look back at it and say that objectively it's really not that interesting? Unfortunately, also yes. The next category is I have many opinions and none of them are neutral. First, let's talk about Water Moon. This fantastical, cozy fantasy taking place in Tokyo promised to be a Ghibli movie in book form. And it definitely succeeded at trying to be a Ghibli movie in book form. On the one hand, it does have some of the most beautiful dream-like scenes and experiences that I've read in a very long time. Like there are castles in the sky, fate inked in tattoos, origami paper cranes. It has that Ghibli feeling in the sense that you're like, I don't know really what's going on, but I'm loving the vibe and it looks really beautiful. That perfect blend between cozy and creepy that you didn't even know was possible. This is the story of a girl looking for her lost father who owned a pawn shop where people pawn their regrets. The perfect setup for a touching human story. But the only thing that this book managed to touch is a word count cap, I think, because we were barreling through everything at a breakneck pace. The love, instant. The characters, so flat you could origami them. The emotions, forced onto you as if the author reached out of the book, cupping your cheeks forcefully, whispering, "Are you crying yet?" Then we have Heartless Hunter. If you love the idea of a blood witch main character that hides her arcane powers because she is hunted for being a blood witch, but then secretly hunts down blood witch hunters to take revenge on her lost sisters, you're gonna be disappointed in this one, because that's all promised, but it's not delivered on at all. There's as much witch hunter slaying in this book as in the Salem witch trials. But if you love the idea of a blood witch and a witch hunter secretly fake dating each other because they both suspect the other person of being the one that they're hunting, and then you're also getting both of their POVs, so you get to see them kind of walk around each other, that is a promise that this book delivers on. And the tension is delicious. As long as you're okay with them professing their undying love for each other at the end of 300 pages, typical young adult style. The next category is all the pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. We have Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. Look, sometimes I wish I could just disappear into the woods and turn into a toad. You get it, right? Like, you get that vibe. That's what the main character of this book can do. She can turn into a toad. I love that. T. Kingfisher is the master of atmosphere and fairy tales for adults, and this is her version of Sleeping Beauty. I think it creates a very realistic version of Sleeping Beauty because, I don't know about you, but when I'm sleeping, I definitely don't look pristine, perfect, beautiful, ready to be kissed. When I sleep, I look more like the Sleeping Beauty in Thornhedge, and that is like a feral changeling fae child. And our toad main character girl has to protect her. It's cute, it's well written, but just like sleeping for 100 years, it is a little bit boring and not that immersive. Then we have Fourth Wing. Look, I am the last person to predict that this would not end up like all the way at the bottom of this ranking. I would say this is the definition of junk food literature. It's horribly written. It probably gave me brain rot, but my gosh, it's so much fun. I think I would go as far as saying that this was the most fun book that I read so far this year. Just the sheer excitement of the dragons, the romantic tension that builds up, all the dangerous trails. But yeah, in the end, all the political analysis is as shallow as its world building. Next we have... There go all the books. We have the new Emily Henry, Great Big Beautiful Life. I could summarize this book in 2 really harsh sentences before I say something nice. This feels like Emily Henry and her publisher's attempt to be more like Taylor Jenkins Reid, specifically emulating The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because this is also about a celebrity's story and then the journalist, in this case the 2 journalists that interview her. The second harsh sentence is, this feels like Emily Henry's descent towards typical formulaic tropey romance. But that would be overly harsh. Emily Henry remains amazing at creating tension between characters. In this case, 2 really tall journalists. Knees touching secretly under the table, anyone? I read the whole first half of this book in 2 days. And for me, that's really fast. I know that for some people that is not fast, but for me that is really fast. And the topmost book in this category is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillick. This is Rachel Gillick proving that you can, in fact, write good romantasy. It is out there, guys. It exists. This is about an alliance between a shrouded girl that can see the future, that lives in a stained glass cathedral, and an ignoble knight with eyeliner. If that makes you think, whoa, vibes? You are correct. Like, the vibes in this book are immaculate. The romance in this book, immaculate. Truly, vibes alone, this is like a 5 out of 5 stars, but unfortunately there also had to be a plot to sustain the story, and that's where it kind of started faltering. And then the last category is all of my 4+ star books, like the true slays. There's actually quite a lot of books in here that I gave 4+ stars that I would totally recommend. First we have, oh of course, Sunrise on the Reaping. It's the new Hunger Games novel. Susan Collins never disappoints. What more can I say about it? Next book, I'm just kidding. This prequel to the Hunger Games, where we follow Haymitch's games, tells you propaganda is bad. And you are falling for it. You have fallen for it in the previous books. And so did Katniss Everdeen. If anyone still posts thirst traps of a young President Snow after reading this book, I will personally come to your house and beg you to learn some media literacy. Next, we have The Opposite of a Person. You know the literary fiction is gonna be good when the opening line is, when I was a child, I used to pretend to be a cucumber. Now that is a mindset I would like to get into, okay? That is a mindset that all those grind-set hustle culture gurus don't tell you about. You need to get into that cucumber mindset. Only that is how you get to disappear as a little toad in the woods. This author is a philosopher and a poet, and you can tell. This fictional novel about a young woman navigating love and life in a world of climate crisis is interjected with reflective passages on life and poems also. Kind of what I wish my diary looks like, but it's just a jumbled mess of my random thoughts and feelings. At number 6 to the top, we have A Prayer to the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. If you were a robot, what would you want out of life? Well, the robots in this series said, bye humans, we're done with you guys. We're gonna live in the forest. Good for you, robots. I would do the same. See, these robots, they have the right mindset. They have that cucumber, toad in the woods mindset. Someone described this book to me as a gentle kiss on the forehead, and I think that that is the perfect description of this series of an unlikely friendship between a tea monk and a robot. This is the second book in the duology, by the way. And this second book gives even more interesting ideas on how we could live in a future with no money or more community-based, or basically one where we take care of each other a little bit more. Okay, top 5. We've reached top 5. Number 5 is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid spent years researching astronauts, NASA, spacecrafts, and you can tell. Actually, I don't actually know anything about space travel, so maybe it is all bullshit. I probably wouldn't notice. But it seems legit, and she tells us in the intro that she spent years researching this, so I don't actually know. Anyway, this is a book about astronauts in the 80s. It's about competition at NASA. It is about tragic love. If you think that you are having a difficult long-distance relationship because your love is on the other side of the country, imagine if your love was on a spaceship in outer space and it was your job to get them home safely to Earth. Yeah, that's a different caliber of problems and long-distance relationships. On number 4, we have Blood Over Bright Haven. Look, I generally dislike it when a fantasy book's message is super on the nose, very unsubtle, basically like a direct metaphor. But in this book, I somehow did not care. I forgive it. Its critique of sexism, colonialism, and blindness to oppression was just too good. Also, the opening chapter of this book was honestly so good that I thought it can only go downhill from here. And it didn't. This is about a magical university where for the first time in 100 years a woman is being admitted and everyone is being really sexist and kind of shitty about it. But then she discovers that people are even shittier and more bigoted than she already expected. On number 3, we have Bluets by Maggie Nelson. Have you ever felt lonely, melancholically predisposed, suffering from heartache? And are you only capable of getting in touch with your feelings when they are neatly packaged in like a philosophical package, like a literary package, to give you that literary aesthetic? Have I got the book for you? This is a poetic non-fiction book full of philosophical and emotional musings about the color blue. And if you hear that and think, wow, that sounds weird and abstract, this book is not gonna be for you. But if you hear that and think to yourself, wow, that sounds weird and abstract, you're gonna find this beautiful. Loneliness is solitude with a problem. Can blue solve the problem, or can it at least keep me company within it? To wish to forget how much you loved someone can feel at times like the slaughter of a beautiful bird who chose by nothing short of grace to make a habitat of your heart. Ah, wait, I have a prop for this. Oh, painful. Gorgeous, gorgeous words by Maggie Nelson. Alternate title. Number 2 on this list is The Safekeep by Jaël van der Woude. I swear I am not biased because I am Dutch and this author is also originally Dutch and it takes place in the 60s, the Netherlands. No, I am biased because this is a story about suppressed desire and obsession, okay? I just gotta love a book like that. That's my thing. The main character lives with her brother in the house of her deceased mother. And then when her brother's new girlfriend starts living with them, she hates her. Like, she feels like that new girlfriend is infiltrating her family house. She is an infiltrator and so annoying and also kind of pretty, but that doesn't matter. And like, I can't stop thinking about her and we have like so much tension every time we talk to each other. This book is proof that you can do enemies to lovers literary style. This book is proof that you can do spicy scenes literary style. Every page in this book have me lying on the floor thinking, words, they're so beautiful. It's gorgeously subtle in its themes. It is not just a book about desire and obsession. It is also mostly about family history, homophobia, and how Jews were treated in the 60s, the Netherlands. Also, this book made me buy pears. It made me realize I actually really enjoy eating pears. And last but not least, the only book that I gave 5 stars. Did I give it 5 stars? Maybe it was more like a 4.75. Anyway, the highest rated book. The book that I loved the most the past half year. Many stars for this sky full of stars that is Orbital by Samantha Harvey, the Booker Prize winner of last year. And we can go back to our little space theme that we also had with Atmosphere. Apparently there's this phenomenon when astronauts go to space called the overview effect. And it is this cognitive shift that astronauts experience when they look down on the tiny globe that is the Earth, and they just see these land masses without borders and clouds, and they are just overwhelmed by awe, by the beauty of the Earth. It makes them feel more connected to all the human beings also living on planet Earth. They feel transformed, getting a whole new perspective on life. That feeling, I think, is contained perfectly. Well, I don't know, like, I haven't been to space, but I feel like that feeling is perfectly contained in this small little novel about astronauts orbiting the Earth. It is in many ways the opposite of Atmosphere because it is not at all focused on the characters or the plot. It is just vibes, purely conceptual, a reflection, a being in awe with the Earth, a love letter to our planet. And those were all the books I read so far this year. I don't have a lot of like physical copies. I think I read a lot of ebooks this year. I would love to know what your favorite book of the year was so far, so we can all give each other some great recommendations. I've been kind of getting into a little bit more literary fiction, which I kind of didn't expect for myself. And I read a lot of really bad romantasy books, except for The Knight and the Moth, because in Rachel Gillick, we trust. Also, do you guys like what I did with the background? I added these cute little mushrooms to it. I also changed out some of the prints, so now we have the sunflowers. Van Gogh sunflowers over here. Maybe I'll change out the prints seasonally. Ooh. Yeah. Does anyone else feel like summer just passed by extremely quickly? Like, I cannot believe we're already in August and I am seeing people already getting into autumn content, and I'm like, no, I feel like I haven't even experienced summer yet. Like, where did it go? Where did summer go? Oh, also recently I got a new pair of rings at a fantasy festival. I have to show you. Did you see this one with the little leaves? And this one with the moon? I'm obsessed. I love this. I just want to look like I walked out of like a witchy forest at all times. Like I said, I want to look like I could be a toad in a forest, okay? I just want the cucumber mindset, guys. Let me know, how are you implementing your cucumber mindset this week? Anyway, okay, I think that's enough silly little shenanigans for today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you soon in another video very soon. Goodbye!